Mishnah Shabbat.
15th parak of Maseches Shabbos, parak Tezvav Mishnah Gimel, and then we're going. Okay, let's get cracking. Today we are finishing off the 15th parak of Maseches Shabbos, parak Tezvav Mishnah Gimel, and then we're going to start the 16th parak of Maseches Shabbos with parak Tezayin Mishnah Aleph. From this Mishnah to the end of Maseches Shabbos, the main subject that's going to be discussed are various rabbinic prohibitions, various isurim on a midrabanan level. Now, in connection with the previous Mishnah, Parak Tezvav Mishnah Beis, which mentioned how a person ties some types of clothing, this Mishnah here, Parak Tezvav Mishnah Gimel, is going to discuss the idea of folding clothing on Shabbos. Says the Mishnah, Mekaplin es hakelim afilu arba v'chamisha pamim. A person is allowed to fold clothing on Shabbos even 4 or 5 times, so that they will not become wrinkled and will be fit to be worn again on that particular Shabbos. Now the Gemara says in Maseches Shabbos that in most cases, the reason why folding clothing is generally not permitted on Shabbos, it is because it resembles the Isser Mida Araisa, the Torah prohibition of Shabbos, of being misaking something, of repairing something, of fixing something, and that's what it looks like you're doing when you're folding clothing. That being said, we should just know that it is allowed, as the Bartanura points out, to fold clothing only if all of the following conditions are met. Condition number 1 is that one person has to be the one folding the garment and not two, because 2 people are going to stretch the cloth and smooth out all of the wrinkles. The second condition that needs to be met in order for you to be allowed to fold clothing on Shabbos, that the garment must be new. Right? It can't be something, as the Shulchan Aruch paskins, it has to be something that has not yet been laundered, because a new garment is stiffer than an old one and does not get as wrinkled in the first place. The third condition that must be met is that the garment must be white and not colored, because the folding of a colored garment improves its appearance to a greater extent. And the final condition that the Bartanura points out that allows a person to fold something on Shabbos is one has nothing else to wear. Right, it has to be that it's a situation where you need to fold this clothing now, so you'll have neat clothing to wear in honor of Shabbos. Still, for the cover, for the honor of Shabbos, you need clothing. But certainly, if you just want to fold it for after Shabbos, that you can do, because that's hachana, that's preparation for after Shabbos. It has to be something that you need to be worn on, that needs to be worn on Shabbos itself. Continuing in the Mishnah, Matzian es hamitos milele Shabbos l'Shabbos. A person's allowed to make beds after sleeping in them on Friday night, in order to prepare them to be slept in again on Shabbos itself. Avalomi Shabbos l'motzei Shabbos. But certainly you can't fold clothes or make beds on Shabbos for use after Shabbos, because it's it's forbidden to make preparations on Shabbos for another day. Again, that's the prohibition of hachana, of preparation, which you can't do from Shabbos until motzei Shabbos, until Saturday night. Now the Mishnah is going to discuss the halacha for folding clothing and making beds on Yom Kippur that falls on a Friday. Can you prepare from Yom Kippur to Shabbos? We said that you certainly can prepare from Shabbos to Motzei Shabbos. What about Yom Kippur to Shabbos itself? Says the Mishnah, Rabbi Shmuel says, Mekaplin es hakelim umatzian es hamitos miyom kippurim l'Shabbos. The person is allowed, says Rabbi Shmuel, to fold clothes and make a bed on Yom Kippur that falls on a Friday for use on Shabbos, because Yom Kippur is a weekday in relation to Shabbos, meaning to say that Yom Kippur possesses less holiness, possesses less kedusha, possesses less sanctity than Shabbos itself, and therefore a person is allowed, according to Rabbi Yishmael, to make preparations on Yom Kippur for Shabbos itself. Now Rabbi Shmuel now going to continue with another example of this rule that Yom Kippur is less holy than Shabbos. The halacha is when it comes to the avodah, the service in the Beis Hamikdash, that the fats of an offering, the fats of a korban, may be burnt on the mizbeach even during the night that follows the day in which the offering was brought. However, the fats of a Friday offering may not be burnt on Friday night, meaning cannot be burnt on Shabbos, because it is prohibited to desecrate Shabbos, to violate Shabbos, to bring a korban on Shabbos for a korban that was brought on a day of lesser sanctity, of lesser kedusha. Similarly, the fats of a korban brought the day before Yom Kippur may not be offered that night on Yom Kippur, because again, the day before Yom Kippur, the Erev Yom Kippur, is less holy than Yom Kippur itself. Rabbi Shmuel's next statement, therefore, is going to deal with a situation where Yom Kippur falls on Sunday. So you have Friday, Shabbos, and then Sunday is Yom Kippur. So what's the halacha? Says the Mishnah, V'chel ve'Shabbos kreivin b'Yom HaKippurim. And if Yom Kippur falls on a Sunday, then the fats of the korban that was brought on Shabbos may be brought on the Mizbeach after Shabbos, even though it is the night of Yom Kippur. Because again, according to Rabbi Yishmael, Shabbos has greater holiness than Yom Kippur itself. So you're allowed to bring the fat and bring the karbanos that were initially brought on Shabbos. You can bring them on Yom Kippur itself, because again, Shabbos, according to Rabbi Yishmael, happens to be holier than Yom Kippur itself. So we're going to see we don't paskin this way, but that is the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael. We do have paskin like Rabbi Akiva. What does Rabbi Akiva hold? Rabbi Akiva says, Lo shall Shabbos crave b'Yom Kippur. If Yom Kippur falls on a Sunday, the fat of the Shabbos karbanos may not be brought on the night of Yom Kippur. V'lo shel Yom Kippurim craving b'Shabbos. And if Yom Kippur falls on a Friday, the fat of the Yom Kippur karbanos may not be offered on the night of Shabbos, meaning on Friday night, because the Torah, according to Rabbi Akiva, and this is how we paskin, holds that both Shabbos and Yom Kippur have the same level of kedusha, have the same level of holiness, and therefore you're not allowed to bring the fat of one on the other day. Continuing now with Parak Tezayin, Mishnah Aleph. Now the halacha is that when the fire breaks